Wendigo psychosis. In the eerie quiet of the Canadian spring of 1879, a shadow loomed at the gates of the Catholic mission in St. Albert. A hulking figure, gaunt yet oddly robust, approached. He appeared to be the living embodiment of a nightmare. This man was Swift Runner, a member of the Cree tribe, bearing a tale so horrifying it would sear itself into the annals of history. Swift Runner, with eyes hollowed by unspeakable horrors, relayed a chilling account to the priests. His entire family had perished from starvation in the harsh winter. Yet something in his demeanor suggested a darker truth lurking beneath. The winter of 1878 to 79 had indeed been brutal to the Cree, but the priests could not shake the feeling that a more sinister reality was at play. Each night, the mission's silence was shattered by Swift Runner's tormented screams, as if he were battling unseen demons in his sleep. His robust health, a vivid contrast to his tale of starvation, raised ominous suspicions among the holy men. The man was a paradox, a gaunt figure weighing roughly 200 pounds, suggesting nourishment not characteristic of someone who had endured a winter of scarcity. This paradox would soon be understood through the lens of an ancient and terrifying legend when Swift Runner confessed to being possessed by a malevolent spirit known as the Wendigo. The Wendigo, an entity feared in many northern indigenous tribes, symbolized the darkest human impulses, violence and cannibalism. The myth was so ingrained in the cultural consciousness that European and Canadian observers, attempting to comprehend it, developed the term Wendigo psychosis to describe the descent into such inhuman madness, particularly among the Cree. Alarmed by the harrowing confession, the priests reported their suspicions to the local authorities. A subsequent investigation at Swift Runner's family compound unveiled a scene of horror. His family had not simply starved, they'd been brutally slain, their flesh stripped from their bones. Swift Runner eventually confessed to the inconceivable. He had killed and consumed his wife and family, with only one succumbing to starvation before the murders. This revelation shattered the image of the man he once was, a pillar of his community, educated, a regular trader with the Hudson's Bay Company, and a former scout for the Northwest Mounted Police. Labeled with the unofficial diagnosis of Wendigo psychosis, Swift Runner was hanged for his crimes. His story remains a chilling footnote in history, the only recorded case of a person committing such atrocities under the belief of being possessed by the Wendigo. The true fate of Butch Cassidy. In the history of the American Wild West, few names ignite the imagination quite like Butch Cassidy in the Sundance Kid. Their narrow escapes and daring train robberies with the Wild Bunch gang have become the stuff of legend, immortalized in film and folklore. Yet, their final chapter in the rugged landscapes of South America remains shrouded in mystery and intrigue. Did they meet their end in a hail of bullets in Bolivia, as many believe, or did they manage to outwit death itself, disappearing into the shadows of history? Desperate to evade the tightening noose of American law enforcement and the Pinkerton Detective Agency, Butch and Sundance embarked on a journey to reinvent themselves in a land where their notoriety hadn't yet cast a shadow. They arrived in Argentina in 1901, with Etta Place, Sundance's mysterious companion, in tow. Here, under the assumed names of Santiago Maxwell and James Ryan, they attempted to live as ranchers, purchasing land near Cholila in the Patagonian region. This idyllic existence, however, was short-lived, as their past rapidly caught up with them, pulling them back into a life of crime. By 1905, the pressures of their fugitive status and the lure of easy riches drew Butch and Sundance back into the outlaw fold. They shifted their operations across the South American continent, engaging in a series of audacious bank and payroll robberies in Argentina, Chile, and Bolivia. As their infamy grew, so did the efforts to capture them. In November 1908, their journey reached a fateful crescendo in the remote Bolivian village of San Vicente. Cornered by the Bolivian military police, Butch and Sundance were sure to have engaged in a fierce shootout, preferring to go out in a blaze of glory rather than surrender. The gunfight raged into the night, ending only at 2 a.m. with eerie screams and 2 final gunshots. Finally able to approach the building, soldiers discovered a tragic scene. Inside, one man lay mortally wounded. The other had seemingly ended his companion's suffering before taking his own life. The local authorities, unable to conclusively confirm the identities of the bodies, buried them in an unmarked grave. The mystery of their fate deepened in the following years. While official records suggested these were indeed the infamous outlaws, conflicting accounts emerged. Cassidy's family maintained he had survived, with several relatives asserting he returned to Utah in 1925. Further fueling these rumors, a book collector in Washington claimed possession of an autobiography by Cassidy himself, alleging he lived under the name William T. Phillips in Spokane until the 1930s. This claim gains credence from Cassidy's sister, Lula Benson, who also wrote of her brother living in Washington under an assumed name. The mystery of Butch Cassidy's fate is compounded by the fact that every discovered body suspected to be his, including the one in Bolivia, has failed DNA verification. Without new evidence, the truth behind the death of one of the most captivating figures of the American West remains just out of reach, a tantalizing enigma that continues to intrigue and mystify. The Lost Ships of the Desert. In the heart of the California desert, where the Salton Sea now mirrors the sky, a centuries-old mystery lays hidden. Long before this accidental lake was born, the desert claimed a prize, a Spanish galleon brimming with black pearls, ensnared by the land's unyielding grasp. This legendary vessel, a relic from the era when the Colorado River fed the vast prehistoric Lake Cahuilla, speaks of a time when fortunes were lost to the whims of nature. In the 1600s, during times of high tide, the remnants of Lake Cahuilla were said to still be navigable, a fact that would seal the fate of Spanish explorer Juan Iturbe. In service of the Spanish crown, his quest was the pursuit of pearls. Iturbe ventured into the Gulf of California, a body of water renowned for its rich pearl beds. It was here that he gathered a fortune in pearls, filling his ship to the brim with these iridescent treasures. It was in 1615, during a pearl harvesting expedition, that Iturbe's ship was swept up an estuary into Lake Cahuilla on an exceptionally high tide. Trapped as the tide receded and the lake dried, Iturbe faced an impossible choice between his fortune in pearls and the lives of his crew. Choosing survival, he abandoned his ship to the desert's clutches, setting the stage for one of the Old West's most unusual legends. Centuries later, the story of the lost pearl ship was reignited by novelist Antonio de Fierro Blanco, who in 1933 recorded the tale of Tiburcio Manquera. 3 centuries prior, Manquera, working for explorer Juan Baptista de Anza, reportedly stumbled upon black pearls in a desert-bound shipwreck. This discovery, believed to be Iturbe's lost vessel, spurred Manquera to abandon his expedition in search of the remainder of the ship's treasures. The legend of the desert pearls persisted into the 1800s, captivating dozens of explorers, yet the ship eluded discovery. However, the local Jacobson family claimed a breakthrough in the early 1900s, alleging that a windstorm revealed the ship's masts, leading them to unearth and sell its hidden treasures. Their claim remains unconfirmed. The Salton Sea's sands are rumored to hold more than just Iturbe's galleon. Tales of a Viking longship and a stranded riverboat join the lore, painting a picture of a desert once traversed by a variety of vessels, each with its own story, each meeting a mysterious end. Tombstone Thunderbird photo. On a seemingly ordinary day in 1890, the residents of Tombstone, Arizona, found themselves thrust into a tale of myth and mystery. Their local newspaper, the Tombstone Epigraph, recounted an encounter that blurred the lines between legend and reality, sending ripples of awe and disbelief through the small frontier town. Printed on the front page was a harrowing story of humans versus a monstrous creature. 2 ranch hands, the article claimed, had encountered a colossal bird with a staggering wingspan of nearly 160 feet. Initially struck by terror, these men transformed their fear into resolve, embarking on a pursuit to capture this flying leviathan. After a heart-pounding chase, they allegedly succeeded, downing the gargantuan creature. Described as an alligator-like beast with a lengthy tail and massive wings, the creature sparked both fascination and skepticism. Yet the carcass, supposedly bound for scientific examination in the East, mysteriously never made it to Tombstone. The tale took another turn with the claims of one Harry McClure, who professed to know the cowboys from his youth. According to McClure, the encounter was less dramatic. A sighting of a large flying creature with a 30-foot wingspan, far from the monstrous dimensions reported. Although the men shot at it, the creature eluded them, disappearing into the desert sky, leaving only a story behind. This remarkable tale might have faded into obscurity, a mere footnote in Tombstone's history, were it not for an intriguing twist involving a disappearing photograph. In 1963, writer Jack Pearl rekindled interest in this old legend in an article for Saga magazine. He introduced a critical detail absent from the original account: the existence of a photograph purportedly showing the men with their downed creature. Pearl claimed this photo had accompanied the original article, igniting a fervent search and mass recollection among the public. Despite claims of sightings in publications like Fate and National Geographic, no tangible record of the photograph could be found. The mystery of the photo spiraled into realms of wild speculation and conspiracy theories. Some even hypothesized that time travelers had intervened, erasing the photo from history. As outlandish as these theories were, they added layers to the mystery, captivating both believers and skeptics. Eventually, the consensus leaned toward the photo being a figment of collective imagination. Yet the legend of the Thunderbird photo, much like the bird itself, continues to soar in the minds of enthusiasts, an enduring symbol of the thin veil between myth and reality that still perplexes believers to this very day. The Dead Man's Hand. On a sweltering August day in the town of Deadwood in the Dakota Territory, the air in Nuttall and Mann's saloon was thick with tension. Seated at a poker table was a man whose reputation with a gun was known across the United States. But on this day, Wild Bill Hickok's weapon of choice was a deck of cards. His piercing blue eyes and long hair gave him a commanding presence as he skillfully navigated the game. His opponent, a local drunk named Jack McCall, was losing hand after hand, growing increasingly frustrated. Despite his renown as a gunslinger, Hickok was showcasing another talent altogether: his uncanny ability to win at poker. McCall, out of funds and visibly upset, stormed out of the saloon, even as Hickok, in a rare gesture of kindness, gave him money for breakfast. The next day, Hickok uncharacteristically changed his routine. He sat with his back to the door instead of the wall. As the poker game commenced, McCall re-entered the saloon, drew his .45 caliber revolver, and coldly shot Wild Bill through the back of the head. Hickok died instantly, marking the end of one of the greatest gunfighters of the Wild West at the hands of an angry drunk. McCall was quickly summoned before an informal trial, escaping conviction initially, but was later brought to justice after bragging about the murder. His luck finally ran out at his second trial. He was sentenced to death and hanged on March 1st, 1877. Some speculated that Hickok was cursed to die that day. He was said to be found holding a two-pair match of black aces and black eights, a hand that would become infamously known as the Dead Man's Hand. The true makeup of Hickok's Dead Man's Hand, however, is unconfirmed and has evolved over time. Initially defined in 1886 as a full house of jacks and tens, it shifted to jacks and sevens in 1903, and by 1907, it had changed to jacks and eights. It wasn't until Frank J. Wilstash's book, Wild Bill Hickok, The Prince of Pistoliers, was published in 1926, that the specific combination of 2 black aces and 2 black eights was formally linked to the Dead Man's Hand, based on claims from reliable sources. Today, the legacy of Wild Bill's final hand remains potent. Symbols of aces and eights adorn the insignias of parts of the Las Vegas and Los Angeles police forces, and even the Armed Forces Medical Examiner System. In Deadwood, the police wear these cards as a patch on their uniforms. Are they invoking fate, or merely paying tribute to a legend of the Old West? Are you ready to unlock the secrets of the past? Subscribe now to Dark Five's Ancient Mysteries channel, and embark on a journey to uncover the most enigmatic and awe-inspiring mysteries of ancient times. Leave a comment if there are any ancient mysteries you want us to explore in upcoming videos.